everybody. Welcome back to Vino Frankel, a Taste of Sculpterra. I am your host, Paul Frankel. This is episode 4 of 96, where I bring you a weekly podcast. We record it Tuesday. It goes on YouTube on Friday. Happy to report that this podcast is now on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcast. So if you want to watch it, it's up on YouTube. If you want to listen to it, there's other ways to listen to it. So today I'm happy to say I have a very special guest, Bruce Wallworth, to my left here. Bruce.
Hello, everybody.
Hi? Bruce has been an employee for, I don't even know, I think 4 years?
More than that. You've been paying me for 6.5.
Okay, so six plus years.
Okay.
I wanted you all to get to know Bruce. Most of you who are wine club members, fans, customers that are watching this, you've probably been poured wine from Bruce at the tasting room. He's an all-around great guy, knows wine really well, knows our story, and he's got a good personality for this sort of thing. I think you'll all enjoy.
I'm working on that.
I think you'll enjoy what he's going to say. So, well, as you know, we go through different topics during this podcast. I talk about the world of wine, nerd out on wine, animals in the vineyard, fun, exciting things, the events that we're doing. Right now, though, it's all about harvest. We're picking grapes, and it's been crazy. Every year is different. We're always dependent on the weather. That changes when we decide to pick, or everything is dependent on the weather. And we've had crazy weather this year. I mean, last night it started raining. It started raining on the property probably around 8 or 9 p.m. I woke up at midnight and it was really coming down. My phone says it rained 1.5 inches, and then it's been raining throughout today too. We saw it coming, right? So we knew it was going to rain today, so we had a mass blitz to pick as much grapes as we can. But it was a tough choice, because we're trying to pick everything that's ripe, that's ready, that we think, you know what, we got to pick this now. This is perfect timing. But then I'm also thinking, you know what, I don't want these other grapes to get wet and rained on and lose sugar content, and we have to wait longer for them to ripen. So what else can we pick before the rain? So Friday, we picked Primitivo for port. We picked all of it. I wanted it to be riper. I was hoping for over 30 BRIX. We picked it at 28.5, which was more than acceptable because it soaked up in the tank to over 30. So that worked out great. And then yesterday, Monday, the day of the rain, it didn't rain until Monday night. So Monday day, we picked all the Petite Sirah, all the Mourvèdre, all the Petite Verdot, and the Old Well Cabernet Sauvignon. So we picked some of the cabs. So we had 2 crews going, Bruce. 2 crews of 12 people. Ernesto had a tractor. Roque had a tractor. We had 2 people helping with leafing and all those sort of things. So it was confusing because there was grapes coming in constantly at the winery, and we're processing and crushing and keeping it all straight. So we picked as much as we could before the rain, and I'm glad we did.
Well, it's a good thing you got it in early, because there are a couple of varietals that are susceptible to rot. And yes. You got that taken care of.
Yeah, I was most concerned about Petite Sirah and Mourvèdre because it's already had a little bit of rot, because this is not the first rain that we've had this harvest. It rained 3 weeks ago. We got about 1/2 inch of rain, so rot was already starting to set in a bit, and we just could not afford to let it get rained on again.
And that's when you got the big blower out.
Yeah, that worked great with the spray rig on the tractor, and it's like the thing you use for your hair. A blow dryer? Hair dryer?
Yeah.
Giant hair dryer to dry out the vines. But we did it yesterday. We picked up Petite Sirah. It came in around 25.5 BRIX. Mourvèdre came in right at 24.5 BRIX. It is soaking up sugar now that it's in the tank, and we're pumping it over and mixing it up. So I think it's going to gain more sugar. Maybe it'll go up a BRIC or 2. So I'm happy we did it. It smells good. It tastes good. It's got nice color. The seeds are brown. So it worked out. But we had a long day. We started picking at 2:30 in the morning yesterday. We didn't finish till noon. We didn't finish crushing till about 3 or 4. So long day. But this is what harvest is like. It's just amazing. Like if we didn't have this rain, everything would be different. We could wait a little longer to pick. And the tough thing now is that when it rains, the rainwater gets absorbed through the leaves and it dilutes some of the sugar in the grapes. So if our cab was sitting at 23 or 24 BRIX, it might drop down now to 22, and now we have to wait 2 weeks for it to get back to where it was before the rain. But we want it to get riper than it was then. So now we're looking at maybe end of October, even November to pick the rest of the Cabernet. But all we have left to go is all Cabernet Sauvignon. We've got the Hilltop Cab, the Bentley Cab, the Chivos Cab, and the cab behind our, right behind the first gazebo, right there. So 4 blocks of Cabernet left to pick. Everything else is in at the winery.
Was there any particular varietal that we were a little light on this harvest?
No, we've had a healthy crop. Yeah, we made a lot of Viognier, a lot of Pinot, a lot of Primitivo, Sirah. Mourvèdre was 8 tons, which was quite a bit for just an acre and a quarter. The Petite Sirah was 10 tons for an acre and a half.
Wow,
so
that's good.
No, we're making plenty of wine. It's just a question of timing and getting it in before rain and stuff, all these events. We've got our Harvest Fiesta happening on Saturday. So if you're watching this video Friday, the Harvest Fiesta is tomorrow. So my plan was to get everything picked before the Harvest Fiesta. That way our workers could come to the party, enjoy it, and not be thinking, hey, I got to go back to work later and do a pump over, a punch down, a tank transfer, something like that. But that's not going to happen. They're going to have to work maybe the Harvest Festival weekend. And the pistachios, okay? So we grow pistachios, and we have the biggest crop we've ever had. I mean, we usually get maybe 3 truckloads, 4 truckloads on a good year. This year, we're looking at 6 to 8 truckloads.
Jeez.
Yes, and I tried desperately to pick it before the rain, but the guys who drive the machines, who operate it and run the machines, they were stuck in the valley because they were trying to pick the pistachios there before the rains came. So they're probably going to pick the end of this week, the weekend, or beginning of next week. So
pretty much you're saying that Sculpterra is full of nuts.
We have a lot of nuts.
There
a lot
you
of
go.
nuts on the property. It's going to be a good nut year.
Good.
Okay, well, Bruce,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you some questions here.
All right, fire away.
First off, I wanted you to tell the audience how you came to know Paso Robles, how you moved here, and then from there, how you discovered Sculpterra.
Okay, so I was still living in Southern California, probably back in 2012, 2014. My wife and I, we were coming up here almost every month and visiting all the wineries. We were checking it out, thinking about where we wanted to retire. So we went to all the different wine regions. We decided that we liked the east side of Paso Robles, and this is where we decided to settle. But this dates back to, I know one of your questions was going to be how I got into wine. Back when I was still working for a major company, I retired. They asked me to come back 2 weeks later. And then part of my responsibility was purchase of products. And I used to hold a lot of meetings. And I got taken out a lot. Well, one of the times I got taken out, I was not a wine drinker at that time. And when I sat down with these 8 to 10 guys, they handed me the menu. They said, you pick out the wine. Well, I had absolutely zero experience on it at that time. But I looked at it and I said, you want a white or a red? Let's do a red. I said, you want light, medium, or heavy? They said, well, let's do something medium. So I called the gentleman over and I said, we will take a bottle of this. Of course, there was no prices on it, but we ended up having that one, and we had a second bottle. That turned out to be a Merlot from Napa Valley, and that's when I fell in love with wine, and that's when we started coming out here and doing all our wine tasting. So, next question.
Did you like wine instantly when you started drinking wine? Was it something that became an acquired taste, or was it something that just you liked it right away?
Going back, I made it, I hate to use the word $2 chuck, but when I first started with that Merlot from Napa Valley, it was instant love. I mean, I just enjoyed the heck out of it. So I've made it a point to expand my palate and my taste, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Fantastic. So you moved to Paso for retirement.
Yes.
Were you planning on starting a second career after retirement or a second job?
I did. I told my wife when we moved up here that I was not going to be home 24/7. I wanted to get out and pour for people because I was used to holding meetings. So we had come out here quite a while ago. We went to a particular winery, and when we purchased our house, we went back to that location. And when the girl was pouring for us, I said, "You're doing exactly what I'd like to do." And she goes, "Well, you're lucky because this is my last day." So she goes, "I'll put you in touch with the owner." So 2 weeks later, I was working for that location. And I was there for about 9 months.
Okay. Was that a bar? No.
No, it was not bar. It was B&E.
B&E. Okay. Okay. So another smaller place, mom and pop winery.
Yep. And then my first introduction to Sculpterra, my wife and I took a picnic. We were enjoying the gardens and the sculptures on a Sunday. And I got up to use the restroom. I came back and she says, "You've got a interview at 9 o'clock tomorrow." And I said, "I'm sorry, what'd you say?" She goes, "You got a 9 o'clock appointment tomorrow with Dave." And I'm like, "I didn't even realize I wanted to work somewhere else." And she goes, "Well, yeah, you did." And I said, "Okay." So the next day at 9 o'clock, I showed up. I went to the bar. I asked for Dave. Dave came out and I said, "My name's Bruce Wallworth. I'm supposed to do an interview with you as a possible position here." And he goes, "Okay, when do you want to start?" And that's pretty much how I started my career. And I've been exposed to a lot of wonderful wines. And again, I've been here 6.5 years. And it's pretty much a result of the family that I work for here and the wine that you make, Paul.
Well, wow, thank you. That's very encouraging. Very nice of you to say. So what attracted you to Sculpterra from the beginning? I know you just said you weren't planning on working. You kind of got thrown into working. You liked the working.
It was. I mean, again, the gardens, the sculptures, the history, the giving back that the family does. It just is something that really appealed to me, and I enjoy working that. I share it with people I pour for, and I think it's important.
Mm. Fantastic. Great. What about where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? You're gonna stay at Sculpterra. You're gonna
Let me see. How old am I gonna be at that point? I don't. You know what? Again, when I started pouring here, I think there was only 4 of us, and I think we only had the main bar inside. Then it expanded to almost 9 bars, sometimes on the weekend.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's just, you know what? The people there, it's like family. When somebody leaves, they're missed. It hurts. But it's important that if you go to other wineries, you taste wines, you go back, you'll find out that some of the people you met before are no longer there, or they've moved to another winery. They just keep moving. We are very consistent at Sculpterra. The people are always there. When you come into Sculpterra, you'll see the familiar faces. We enjoy working for Sculpterra and the Frankel family.
Yeah, I really like how our employees at the tasting room are very hospitable, sweet, kind, always looking for ways to treat the customers. We don't turn anybody away. Someone has a reservation or they walk in. We want to pour them our flight of wines. We want to show them a great time. And you, Bruce, you do a good job of not making wine too confusing for people. You kind of lay it out, because you have a lot of knowledge and all the details about wine, but you don't overwhelm people. So you have a nice balance of, let me give you the history, let me give you some information about this wine, and if you want to know more, I could tell you about the oak barrels and the tannins and the texture and if the wine will age and those sort of things. So how did you develop your whole approach to wine education and wine service?
You know what? working at Sculpterra, and you've got Darren, who was on a previous podcast, Level 2. I learned a lot from him. I learned from you. I mean, I'm constantly sending you questions. You're answering for me. Every vintage, it's funny because all these, like winemakers like yourself, you have the ability to take certain varietals and massage those to become what I call liquid gold. They just come out fantastic. Uh-huh. And you're very consistent in your winemaking. And I always share that with people. It's just, I'm learning constantly new every time I work here. And you're always sharing the different barrels you're starting to create. Mm-hmm. You're going to a new one. I think it's a combination of French, American, and Hungarian oak.
Yeah, we have a blend barrel that I use for the Hilltop Cab, which is a punch-on barrel, and it has all 3 American species in one barrel.
It's going to be interesting.
It has alternate staves. And what's also great, Bruce, is that you support us outside of the tasting room. I poured recently at Hotel Cheval with the Pony Club. They do the wine of the month where they call out a local winery. I showed up. They select. I brought 3 of our wines. I think I brought Grenache, Mega Focus, and Viognier, and they sold a flight of wines, and I think it was $25, and you got to taste all 3 wines, and then I would hop around, bounce from table to table, and talk to the people that were there. And Bruce was one of the people. Bruce came and saw that we were going to be there. So I appreciate that you not only support us at the tasting room, but you go to the outside events, because outside events are really key. I don't get out much, but I need to, and I want to support the restaurants, the wine shops, the hotels. So thank you for getting out and supporting us as we support them.
Yeah, and I do carry business cards with me, and every opportunity I get, I share those and invite people to Sculpterra, because as amazing as it is, you get a lot of people that only go to the west side. They're very unfamiliar with a lot of the wineries on the east side, such as Sculpterra. And then when they do show up, they go, I am amazed that I have not been on this side before, because the wines are absolutely amazing over here. So I do my best to get people over there.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay, everybody. Yeah. I want to move on now to our next topic, which is the world of wine. So in previous episodes, I brought up tariffs. There's a new tariff on wine, or wine trends, things that are happening. Today I wanted to focus on port, because we just picked our Primitivo grapes for port wine on Friday. So this is fresh in my mind. We're doing it. I'm making this product again this year. We've made a lot of port. I've been making port the last, I think, 5 or 6 vintages, so I have a backlog of punch-on barrels, 500-liter barrels of port. So this brings me to I'm also starting a dessert wine club. Next year we're going to launch that. We're thinking about doing 3 bottles 3 times a year to stay with the same theme as the Collectors Club and the Arroway Club. So with each shipment, you'd get a port, Muscat, sparkling, Rosé perhaps. So those 4. We also have a late harvest Zinfandel. So we have 5 potential sweet wines that we can offer in this dessert wine club. I think it'll be a hit. Bruce knows as well as I do, we have a lot of customers that go for the sweet wines. They love it. And they come and they get a glass of port or a glass of Muscat, and that's what they want. We're happy to do it for them. And these are great. I'm more of a dry wine taster. I like the more robust, heavy wines, but I appreciate all the sweet wines that we make, and it's great for the beginning of the meal or at the end of the meal. There's a lot you can do with our dessert wines. So let's start a dessert wine club. Leave a comment here in this video if you're interested in our dessert wine club. So, what do you think about that, Bruce? You think we would do well? I
like that idea. It's the first I've heard about it.
And Randy Ho, one of our employees, came up with the name. Can you guess what she came up with? After
Ho,
the
ho,
cheetah.
ho.
Sweet dreams.
All right. Well, that
Sweet
sounds
dreams.
good.
Yeah, because we have John Jagger's cheetah sculpture is named that. So that's pretty cool.
Do you want to explain why there's no date on that bottle?
Yeah. Primitivo port. This is a non-vintage blend. I make a new batch of port every year, and I blend the current year with the old wine barrels, wine that's still aging. So I blend the years all together. That way, the wine is always ready to be bottled at any moment. The younger years, like the 23, 24, and 25 that I'm making, the alcohol comes out pretty strong on the palate. But the older years that I've made, the alcohol and the wine has really combined and worked out well together, where it just tastes great. So I've actually been producing Primitivo port since 2008. So this current bottle blend that I have has port from 2008 all the way to 2023. So it's very complex. What's great about it is that it's a bar top cork, so it's easy to open, and you can cork it and put it in your fridge, and it'll last months and months being open. But I wanted to talk about how we produce port, because there is a lot of confusion behind port winemaking. Port's been made for hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years, and legally we can't call it port. So there was a law that was passed, I think, in the early 90s that said you could no longer call your port unless it's from Portugal. So Portugal has the name for port, just like champagne. You can make champagne, or you can make wine in the champagne style. It's sparkling wine, but you can't call champagne
right,
unless it's from the region of Champagne, France. Same thing with port. So I know a bunch of producers their label was grandfathered in, meaning if you were producing port before, I think it was 1992, you can continue calling it port.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Since we started this in 2008, we call it dessert wine, but this is port wine. This is exactly how port is made in Portugal. So the first step is to get the grapes as ripe as you can. So we use Primitivo because Zinfandel is a great candidate for port. Primitivo is similar to Zinfandel. I think on the next show, we're going to go into depth about the Zinfandel Primitivo debate and the DNA testing and the clones. And they came from Croatia and they got moved around to Italy, and how they came to the Americas, because there's a lot of history there. But anyways, Primitivo, it's grown on the hilltop and it gets very ripe. There's a lot of wind where it is, so it's less susceptible to rot. It could hang out for a long time, and we let it get as ripe as we can when we're making Primitivo port. Again, we picked this year's grapes on Friday, and it was 28.5 BRIX, and I didn't add yeast until yesterday. So yesterday was Monday. So we cold soaked it. The grapes were picked, crushed it, pumped it into a tank for the fermentation process, but we didn't add anything. Yeast was not added, so we just kept pumping it over, and then I chilled it down to it was in the 50s, 52 degrees, 53 degrees. Got it really cold, and the grapes started to break down and release more and more sugar. So it went from 28.5 BRIX to over 30 BRIX, which is perfect. So now what we're going to do, now I added yeast yesterday, so the fermentation process is going to start. And now it's fermenting, but typically when we ferment a red wine, right, we let it ferment all the way dry, meaning we let the yeast consume all the sugar. The yeast eats sugar, which a byproduct of fermentation is alcohol. So until all that sugar is consumed, alcohol is produced. With port winemaking, we don't let the yeast complete fermentation. We stop the fermentation at a midway point, say 10 BRIX, 15 BRIX. There's a calculation that I do to figure that part out. But anyways, we ferment it, say, to halfway, say to 15 BRIX. So we press it off early. get the pressed wine to a tank, and then we add high proof alcohol to it, which will kill the yeast, because high proof. This is a neutral grape wine spirit. Neutral grape wine spirit. It's 190 proof, which is 95% alcohol, which is fantastic because you don't need to add a lot of it to do what we're trying to do, which is to stop the fermentation, which elevates the alcohol percentage and dilutes the sweetness. So it'll go from 15 BRIX, you add this alcohol, it'll bring it down to 9 BRIX, and the alcohol goes up to around over 20, something around 20% alcohol. And there we have it. We have port. Now, people ask, why don't we use brandy? Because typically that people make brandy with port. Well, you could do that, but I think brandy's only 45% alcohol, right? It's a much lower percentage of alcohol, so you have to use a lot more brandy to have that same effect, and then you get the taste of the brandy, which could be good or bad, or could work out great. It's just the style that I was taught to do and how I want to make it is to have the Primitivo, have the grapes, the flavor of the Primitivo come through, and not the taste of the brandy or not the taste of the high proof. I want the taste of the vineyard. And our port has tastes of fig and plum and black cherry and cola berry and raisin. All those flavors are present, and the alcohol doesn't push itself through all that much. Any questions about this, Bruce? I know you understand this process. It's a fun process.
You know what? I like to share with people when I'm pouring for them that my wife makes brownies out of this. And what she'll do is she'll take a box brownie mix. She'll substitute the water with the port. Once she takes it out of the oven, she'll mix it with some confectionery sugar, drizzle it over the top. So the taste you get on the port is the taste you get on the brownies with the chocolate chaser. A lot of people have taken that, gone home, come back to me, and they go, man, that is the best tasting stuff. And you can always wash it down with some more port.
Fantastic. I haven't tried it.
You got to. And I had another gentleman that came in, and I told him about that. And he has a group of gentlemen he gets together with once a year. They rent an Airbnb, and they do nothing but drink red wine and barbecue ribs. Well, they make a barbecue sauce out of our port. And I said, are you going to share that with me? And he has. And my wife and I use that a lot.
Wow.
So anybody that I pour for that was interested in it, I will share that with them.
Fantastic. So there you go. You could do a lot with our port, our Primitivo port. And once again, it's always ready to drink. It's not going to taste young. It's not going to taste old because it has a blend of new port and old port that makes it round, beautiful, easy drinking. Just a fantastic wine. We're going to taste this at the end of today's show. So we're going to come back to that. All right.
And the holidays coming up.
Exactly.
For holidays.
Speaking of the holidays, I want to move to our event calendar, the Sculpterra event calendar. I always try to do at least one event every month, whether we're doing a comedy show or the Harvest Fiesta or an open house party, wine club party, winemaker dinner, a release party. Well, Saturday the 18th, which is tomorrow, for those of you watching Friday, we're having our Harvest Fiesta. Last week, I had some special guests here on the podcast that are participating in the festival. We had Abraham's dance teacher, Nasenia Luna. We had Pepe Fonseca of La Parrilla restaurant. He's going to be doing the catering for us. So we're really looking forward to this. It's not going to rain, right? It rained on Monday night, Tuesday, but now
shows it bright and sunny.
Skies have cleared.
70
it's going to be a
degrees,
beautiful day.
Perfect weather.
Great day. So if you want more information about all the details, watch last week's episode. We get really in depth talking about the whole day, all the fun activities that we're going to have. Can't wait for it. We might be harvesting the pistachios that day, so you might not see me. I might come and go. I got to meet up with all the truckers. We have like 6 to 8 loads of pistachios. That means 8 truckers have to come to our property, find where the truck loaded is, hook up, make their way out. It's a logistical project making it all happen. The machine picking of the pistachios is quite amazing. It feels like a mini earthquake. They grab each tree, shake it by the trunk, the nuts fall, they get caught into a conveyor, sent into bins, and they work pretty fast. They're very efficient. So we might be picking pistachios. this weekend. If you come to the tasting room too, we have 5 pistachio trees at the demonstration vineyard right behind in the back garden. Those pistachios are all ripe and ready to go. It kind of surprises me that people haven't ate those pistachios yet. I don't think they know that those pistachios are ripe. With them. They taste great. Taste really good. So we got Harvest Fiesta, and then in November 8th and 9th, Saturday and Sunday, we have our free open house wine club party. So it's free for wine club member, $25 for guests of wine club members. Yeah, you don't have to be a wine club member to come to these open house parties. Just purchase a ticket, and we would hope that you would join the club once you're here. At the party, I'm doing a barrel tasting. I haven't decided which barrel I may bring down. I might bring down one of last year's wines, 2024, or I might choose something from this year, 2025, which will be super young, but I'll explain what you're tasting and you'll get the general thought, idea, concept of how the wines are going to evolve as it ages. My sister Faith will be here next week. It'll be her first time on the podcast. I'm excited for that. And she's going to talk about the menu for the day and the food and wine pairing. So we've designed a menu specifically to pair with the wines in the wine club shipment. And our November shipment, we always feature cabs. Cabs for Christmas is always our theme. So we've got our statuesque blend, Cab Syrah, Petite Syrah, Maquette blend, which is Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and then our 100% Cabernet. So 1 cab, 2 cab blends. So you can only imagine what's going to pair, meat dishes and pastas and cheeses. There's a lot you can do. And I love our Cabernet. I've talked about Cab, and I'm going to go into more in depth as this podcast goes because we have amazing Cabernet vines. I love making Cabernet. All right, so those are then I always want to remind you, we do a Christmas event. This year we're doing it Thursday, December 18th, and we are having a horse and carriage ride. I just talked to Tom Harris, and he's going to be able to do it. That was really popular last year, where kids got to hop on a carriage, and he took them around the vineyard. He had bells and lights, and it was at night, and they got to go on a little tour of the vineyard. Really fun, really fun. So that's going to be on a Thursday night. I know a lot of you do a lot for Christmas, and you're busy and Friday, Saturday, Sunday leading up to Christmas. So our event's on a Thursday night, which should make it easier for everyone to attend.
Yeah, for you, those of you who have not experienced that, Paul goes crazy with Christmas lights. He starts off very early, but they are all throughout the taster room, outside through the gardens. When this is lit up at night, it's even hard to explain what it looks like. It is magical. You really need to come out there and see this.
Yeah, see, this is why we want to finish the harvest now, right? So I can start Christmas lights. I want to start getting things going.
It's getting earlier.
If we can get it
Sounds
by
like a target.
Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, we open at 6 a.m. We have a super special sale. We'll talk about this as we get closer to Black Friday. And if we get the Christmas decorations up, it makes it very festive. Yeah, when I married my wife, the first year we got married, she said, Paul, do you like Christmas lights? Can you put up some Christmas lights on the house? And my eyes lit up because she had no idea that when I was a kid, I saved my allowance money to buy Christmas lights.
Did you really?
And my parents almost killed me because I had a staple gun. They have a log cabin, and I put staples in their beautiful log home, and I went all around all the windows. I went around the doors. I went on all the chimneys. I lit up their house. I didn't ask them if I could do this, but I saved up my money and bought Christmas lights. So that was my first experience. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I would climb on the roof and just loved it. So when my wife asked me if I could do it, it's like I don't think she knew what she was asking, because once I get started, I can't stop. So
well, you had only one
myself.
TV station, so you had a lot of time to do this stuff.
Exactly. And what's fun too is our vineyard workers are into it too.
Uh-oh.
They get into the Christmas spirit, and I always tell them, just be creative, because they're asking me for direction. How should we wrap this tree, or what color should we use, or what? I was like, you be creative. Let's see what you can do. And a few of them have some great ideas for this. So super fun. Love doing it. So there we go. That's our event calendar. All right. This next section is my TMI, too much information about me, personal information.
Personal information.
Because again, I want you guys to get to know me. You know, I'm the grape grower, I'm the winemaker, but I'm more than that, right?
Yes.
I'm a father, I'm a husband.
Yeah.
I'm your friend. Well, I was thinking
bonding.
about
I got that.
music. I love music. I play the drums. I started learning drums in high school with my friends. I just picked it up. I never took drum lessons. I learned by playing with other people. So me and my buddies all learned together. We didn't know what we were doing. Patrick Patton, who's an author now, he's going to be at our authors book fair at Sculpterra. He's going to be on this podcast, and he writes music, and I played music with him in high school. And again, he was learning guitar, I was learning drums, and we learned songs together, and we ended up touring and joining bands and had a wonderful time doing it. I think it was a good thing to do in high school. You know, that way you weren't getting into trouble or doing bad things. You were learning an instrument, playing an instrument. So super cool. I listen to a lot of music early in the morning or making wine. And lately I've been listening to Antonio Vivaldi. Antonio, have you heard of him, Bruce?
No.
He's a composer from the early 1700s. I don't know how I discovered Antonio Vivaldi, but I've been listening to him for years.
I came to you in a dream.
I start my day off with his music, which is, you know, it's all classical, beautiful music, and then opera. You know, I never thought I would be into opera,
Yeah,
but
I don't
yeah,
see that either.
I'm into opera. I like it. You know, again, like I'm trying to think. It's 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm planning out the day. I'm running around. I'm adding yeast. I'm doing tartaric acid additions. We're doing the pump overs. I'm cleaning everything. I'm moving and just having this beautiful music in the background. So I start with like Beethoven, Bach, classical music. I'm kind of.
I mean, you look at this. You're listening to classical music, which is a creation of music. You're creating wine at the same time, so it sort of blends together.
Yeah, and when the workers come, you know, they want banda, they want ranchero, they want Mexican, you know, they want that kind of stuff, right? But I'm like, you guys, it's too early. We got to like work our way up to that. We start with the classical music, then we work our way to the oldies. You know, I like Motown, and we go to some classic rock, and then we kind of move to the more rock, you know, modern day Spanish music for the workers, because that's what they want to hear. But we can't start the day with that.
I can call you conductor. I can call you maestro. Whatever you want.
But I love music. It makes the day just go
Good.
by great and a lot of fun. Lately, have you heard of Holtz? Gustav Holtz.
No.
This is crazy. So Gustav Holtz was he's a German composer? Yeah, he was a German composer. And you know John Williams, who
Yes.
did the music for Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, Star Wars, all his music. Well, he was inspired by Gustav Holst. Not just inspired, it almost seems like he ripped him off. If you listen to Gustav Holst's music, which is from 1920, it's got the dun 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 dun. Dun. It's got Darth Vader's theme. It's got all this stuff, and it's all these years earlier. So I discovered that like this guy's music is great. So I discover new music. I discover old music all the time. I guess that's what you need to learn here. You know, you go back in time and you listen to all this great music, and you can find more and more great music. And like Bruce said, it helps my mind, helps things work out. All right, what about animals in the vineyard? Bruce, can you make an animal sound?
I could, but you better wait till we get a little port in us.
Animals, yeah. This was my son's idea. Once again, I come home every day, and Abraham says, "What animals did you see today?" Because we see skunks, raccoons, deer, snakes. What about birds, right? We get birds that eat the grapes. We used to net the entire vineyard to keep birds from eating the crop. There used to be migratory finches, these little really nice yellow finches. Well, they looked really pretty, but they would eat the grapes. They would come through, so they would eat the grapes. So Bob made us a netting machine, that you drive through the row, and it lays out the netting. You have one guy up top pulling the netting down, two on the side pulling it on either side of the row, and then other people come through and tape it underneath. And we used to net all 100 acres of vines, which was a lot of work. It took months to do that. But recently, I'd say the last 10 years, birds haven't been much of a problem, except for in front of our tasting room where the Petite, Sirah, Mourvèdre, Cap Franc, and Vineyard is. For whatever reason, birds like that vineyard. So we still net there. But again, it's a little tricky because you have to net, and then you need to take off the netting before you pick, and it gets caught and tangles, and it's a difficult job. But we protect the fruit, from these animals. The animals are trying to eat the grapes, and we don't want that because we want to make wine. So birds. Do you like birds, Bruce? Are you a bird guy? I
love every animal.
What's crazy is I
don't like skunks.
You don't like skunks. My wife loves birds, and now we've got little canaries in my home. 4 little canaries. But it drives me crazy because birds were meant to fly. I can't see a caged bird. I want the bird free. But my wife and her mom, my wife's mother, she's had parrots and canaries and cockatiels and all these birds all of her life. And she says, no, these are the type of birds, they don't want to fly away. And they're very weak and susceptible, and a hawk's going to get it or a cat's going to get it. They don't know what to do out in the wild. They like companionship. They like to be around people, and they're content being in their cage. But it's hard for me to see a bird in a cage.
It's funny. I met my wife at Busch Gardens, and all the birds that they had in there escaped. So over the years, all these different parrots and cockatiels have adjusted to the areas and traveled. I see birds in our area, in our barranca, that are just beautiful colors. And it's just transitioning over time.
Yeah.
It's good to see them free, though.
Birds, interesting animal. My wife loves them, so she's always wanted parrots and cockatiels and these little cute things. So now we have them. So now we have peacocks, birds. We've got chickens, ducks, goats. We have a real family farm right next door. All right. Okay. Well, not only were you going to taste port, we're also going to taste our Paso Pink Rosé, which I didn't make rosé this year, or it's better if I say, well, we're not making rosé this year, 2025, but we made rosé in 2024. Rosé is an interesting wine. This is our nerd out on wine section. Forgot to introduce the section, nerd out on wine, rosé. So rosé is another one of these wines where there's a lot of confusion around it, right? How do you make rosé? Is it white Zinfandel? Why does it come out light? How much time does it have on the skins? When does it bottle? Do you age it in oak? So there's a lot of things to it. So I don't want to get too in depth with all the possibilities of rosé, but what I can say is that our rosé, we pick the grapes when they're ripe. Okay, there's one philosophy for making rosé where they pick the grapes early. Let's say if the grapes are technically ripe tasting at 25 BRIX, they'll pick them at 22 BRIX because their goal, other wineries' goal might be to make a lower alcohol rosé. So to make a lower alcohol rosé, you have to pick the grapes at lower BRIX, so there's less sugar to be converted to alcohol, which is the Provence way of making rosé. So you pick the grapes early and you go direct to press. So you say you're picking Grenache, for example, which is a great candidate for rosé. You pick it at 22 BRIX. Instead of crushing the grapes, you go direct to press. The grapes go right to your press, squeeze the skins, release that juice, throw the skins away. All the juice gets sent to a tank. You chill it down as much as you can, get it cold, start the fermentation off, and there you go. That's gonna look very light because it didn't have contact with the skins. The juice didn't have contact with the skins. So the way I make rosé is different. We take a bleed, is what it's called, or saunier, where we pick the Grenache. Let's keep using the Grenache as our example. We pick it when it's completely ripe. Let's say 26 BRIX. Okay, we pick our Grenache at 26 BRIX. We crush it. So it's destemmed and crushed, goes into a tank. The next morning, so now we've waited, 12 hours, 18 hours. We open the tank and steal some of the juice. Okay, that's the bleed part. We steal up to 50%. of the juice from that tank. And that juice will have color because the skin and the juice were together in the tank overnight. So the juice has had time for color extraction. The color is derived from the skins of the grape. So that's why it comes out pinkish or red. It's extracting color during that time. So we take a bleed, say 30%, 40%, 50% of the juice, and then we separate the juice and ferment that on its own. And then we're left with our Grenache tank is still there with the skins and some juice. It has less juice. So the regular Grenache wine is going to be more concentrated because it has less juice. So it'll have darker color, maybe more tannin content, better structure. So it benefits two wines the way that we do rosé. And then recently there's this, I've been reading about this, Marcy, who used to be at Lefort Laboratories in Paso. She told me about, it's called stabulation, strange word. And it's basically that if you can stir up that juice with, I use dry ice. So we add it directly to the juice. And if you played with dry ice, you're not supposed to play with dry ice, but if you've seen dry ice, you add it to liquid, it stirs up and it creates CO2 gas and it can get really cold. So stabulation is a process of adding that to stir up the lees of the juice, which releases a lot of thiols and esters. So we're getting technical here, but that's a benefit. So the colder you can get it, colder the juice you can get it, the better. And if you could stir up the lees, it'll release all these beneficial organic compounds. So she told me about that years ago. That's how we've always done it. Get it really cold, start the fermentation off, and then we do this process with Grenache, Mourvèdre, and Sirah. We make all these rosés separately. Again, we're going to taste our 2024 rosé, which has those three grapes in it. We make these separately and we blend them together at the end. And then we cold stabilize it, heat stabilize it, and we're ready to go. Rosé. Rosé is a dangerous wine for me because I could drink it all day long. It's just so refreshing, so crisp. It goes great with salad.
I'm going to worry when I don't see you for long periods of time.
Well, I know Gary Eberly. Shout out to Gary Eberly. Maybe I can get him on this podcast. I've heard that he just sits outside Eberly with a glass of rosé every day. He can just
Times I've been there, yes,
rosé.
he's always out there.
He loves rosé, and I understand it. I love rosé too. There's just something about, and Rhone rosé. Let me correct myself. Rhone rosé from this area, which is Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault, Mourvèdre, a little bit of Viognier. You can add that into the rosé. Those are what Paso does best, the Rhone rosés.
Yeah, and your rosé, that blend of Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, when I go tasting, everything's pretty much a single varietal when it comes to rosé in general. You don't see a lot of the GSMs. So we're pretty special on that.
Yeah, the next time I make rosé, probably next year, I'll have you taste them individually. We'll taste the Grenache rosé by itself, the Syrah by itself, the Mourvèdre, and then you'll get to taste the components before it's together. It's very interesting and fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so we've made it to mailbag time, where we read questions, the comments that you guys have asked for the previous videos, which we've been getting comments. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for liking and subscribing and ringing the notification bell. That's great. I appreciate it. Well, I had some questions I was going to have Bruce ask.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Some questions that people ask me, but Bruce told me when I saw him at the tasting room, he said, "You know what, Paul? I got my own questions.
Look at my questions.
I'm prepared." So I said, "Bruce, you can go for it. Ask me whatever you want to ask."
All right.
I'm all ears.
I'm ready then.
Go for it.
What is your personal winemaking style?
Okay, personal winemaking style. I would say being true to the varietal, which basically means don't make a Mourvèdre taste like a Cabernet. Don't make Petite Sirah taste like Pinot Noir, if that was even possible. Or don't make your Pinot Noir taste like Petite Sirah. If you're making Pinot Noir should be delicate, medium-bodied, light in color. Not every wine needs to be black as the night, you know? But then again, if you're making if you're making Petite Sirah, I would think you're making a heavier, robust wine. So I like learning. This may sound strange, but when you make the same block, when we harvest from the same vineyards and make the same wines from those blocks every year, you start to learn how the wine should be made, where you're not trying to force the wine into something it's not. Like your own kids, when you raise a kid, you want to learn, well, this kid is naturally good at the piano. Maybe I should bring that out of him more, encourage him to take piano lessons. Or this kid is great at math. I can see he's doing math in his head. Let's encourage him to become a scientist or whatever. So it's the same thing with grapes. When you make wine from the same block year in and year out, you discover this flavor is always consistent in the vineyard, whether you like it or not. And hopefully you like that flavor. So then it's your job as a winemaker to bring that flavor, to increase that flavor or surround it with other complementary flavors. So I like to make a wine the way it's supposed to be made, the way that it's telling me that it wants to be made. Like, for example, I've made Syrah from different people's vineyards. I used to get Syrah from Carriage Vineyards on El Pomar Road. The owner was Smith. Larry Smith. He moved out of the area. His Syrah was the darkest Syrah I've ever seen. It was tiny grapes. It came out like Petite Sirah. I've never had it. Smelled like bacon and chocolate, just crazy intense Syrah. And that was just his terroir, his land, his farming. And then those same years, I was buying Syrah from Indian Valley, which is up in Monterey County, up by the Salinas River. And that Syrah would come out very light-bodied, more blueberry, raspberry, not a lot of color to it. So I'm working with two different, the same grape from two different places, and it's producing two different wines naturally. So I don't want to make those wines into something that they're not. I want to complement the wines that the flavors that they already bring to the table.
Okay. What is your approach to creating a new wine?
My approach to creating a new wine, it typically it kind of falls on me, where I accidentally blend Primitivo and Cabernet, or recently, I remember years ago, Dean DeSandro of Rockin' R Winery, he's out by Tobin James, he wanted me to make him a Cab Franc Syrah blend. I don't know how he came up with that, but Cab Franc Syrah. So I sold him a barrel of Cab Franc, a barrel of Syrah. Then he had me blend it. And he took it away in his trailer. And I tasted it. I'm like, this works really well. Cab Franc is tannic and astringent and bitter. And Syrah is more easy drinking and plush and smooth. And our winemaker's signature bottle, the bottle with the flame sculpture, that is Cab Franc Syrah, Petite Sirah. So he gave me that idea way back then. So I kind of upped the ante from him doing Cab Franc Syrah and Petite Sirah. So a lot of the times these blends just kind of happen, but I always have a general thought of making a balanced wine, making a wine that hits you in every part of your tongue. And to do that, you need to blend other varieties.
Okay. What is one of the hardest things about winemaking?
Oh, man. Well, right now I'm just physically exhausted. I can't even speak clearly here. I worked 13 hours yesterday, 14 hours yesterday, but it's not just like physically exhausting. It's mentally, because I'm thinking about wine at different stages. We have grapes that we just picked, that we're just adding yeast to. We have fermentations that are ending, that we're draining the tank and pressing. We have wines that we're done settling, that we're barreling down. So I've got all these different things happening all at once. I'm trying to keep straight in my head. And this is the time when I'm making blends. So you're talking about blends. I'm already thinking about, okay, this year our Primitivo's coming out over 16% alcohol every lot. It was that ripe. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to have to blend that with something with a little less alcohol. Our Cabernet is coming in this way. So I'm the ball's already rolling in my mind about blends that I'm making. But I think the hardest thing is time management. I'm very conscious about time management. It's like every second counts when I'm at the winery. I don't want to be distracted. I want to be focused. I want to get all these jobs done and keep everything clean. I come back to this all the time. You have to stay on top of sanitation, cleaning the equipment before you use it, after you use it, clean and sound barrel practices. You can't have bad barrels. So keeping your eye on all of that. Very key. Very key.
Okay, not that this has ever happened, but how do you handle a mistake in the winemaking process? How would you handle that?
Handling a mistake, yeah. You could always. We've lost a wine barrel on the forklift. One time we were driving. We move barrels all the time, and we've dropped barrels and barrel breaks. You run with buckets trying to catch the wine. We've lost a third of the barrel. But mistakes, yeah, it's hard to know, like, really a mistake. I mean, sometimes, like, a mistake could be we thought the grapes were ripe, and so we sent the crew, we picked half the block, and oh boy, it was only 22 BRIX, and the acid's out of balance, and the seeds are green. But I've learned, don't pick everything in one shot. Just because you've been sampling for months and months, and it looks like the grapes are ripe, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Bring it in separate lots. So even if you think it's ripe, bring something in, because then now you have a big test. Now you just pick 10 tons, and now you're really going to know where the vineyard is. So, I think you have to be smart, and you're going to make mistakes, but there's ways to correct it. You could always blend, like I just mentioned. You could always blend maybe a wine that has too high in alcohol, blend it with a wine with lower alcohol. Maybe a wine that ended up sweet, you didn't want it to be sweet, blend it with something that's super dry. Or I've done it where I've had a stuck fermentation with Primitivo, and I leave it alone, and we bottle a dessert wine, and it's great. You just bottle a different wine. You intended it to be a dry table wine, and you accidentally made a dessert wine. Go for it.
So how do you stay updated on industry trends and new techniques?
Yes, I need to do a better job staying up to date. I read Wine Business Classified or Wine Business Monthly. They have a section that is news from the Central Coast. I like reading that. I like Tablas Creek's blog, Jason Haas. I'd love to get him on this podcast. He can write. He's very eloquent. He knows the area. He's a very good promoter of the Paso area. So I read his blog. But yeah, the technology stuff is crazy. And it's come to the point where I know other winemakers, they just don't even bother with it. They say wine's been made for thousands of years. Why is there all this new products all the time? Grapes have natural tannins. They have natural sugar. They have natural acid. Why would we need to add these things? Why would we need to try out this or that and the other? So it's a balance. Again, it's a balance of, I get presented all the time by chemical companies and sales reps. Hey, you should try this out, and this new way of doing it. Again, wine's been made forever. It's good to learn and to know about these things and innovations and better ways of doing stuff. But again, experience in your vineyard is key. We have, now that I've been making wine for 17 years, I live next door. I know the vineyard, so I'm pretty well confident in how we do stuff.
I just have a few more. How do you know when you have a particularly good vintage?
Yeah, I mentioned this last podcast. You could smell. There's certain smells that stay in my memory bank that don't leave. And when that smell returns, I remember the smell from 2012. And that wine came out fantastic. And these grapes were crushing. I smell that same smell. So I'm sure it's going to come out well. Sometimes you just know. And then I analyze the chemistry of the wines, the BRIX, the pH, the TA, the yan, and the residual sugar, and all the glucose, fructose. I mean, there's a whole bunch of analysis you can do. So it's a combination of analysis and taste. But I think you just know. You just know deep down. And again, because we live it. We live on the property. We grow the grapes. You've taken care of the grapes all year. You're like, this is going to work out. Look how healthy these grapes are. Look how great they've been growing all year. We haven't had any catastrophes happen. And then you just step out of the way and let the wine make itself. But like this year, Primitivo, this year, 2025, look out for our figurine blend, the Arroway Primitivo, the Primitivo Reserve Sculpterra Primitivo. Those 4 are going to be special. Our Primitivos just they're outrageously good this vintage, 2025.
What impact do the use of different barrels or tanks have on the wine?
Yeah, this is a big question.
I know somebody asked a question, huh?
This could have a long answer. There's a lot I can go into with wine barrels. First off, there's American oak, French oak, Hungarian oak. There's the toasting levels you can order. There's the grain thickness. There's extra fine grain. There's wide grain. So there's so many differences in oak barrels. My philosophy is all of our red wines to have them age in at least a third new oak. That way they get that oak flavor, but not being overwhelmed with oak. But tanks. So yeah, all of our white wines are made in tanks. Our rosés made in strictly stainless tanks. But the thing with wine barrels is, I think we wrap our mind with the whole concept of new oak and used oak, but really it's the relationship of micro-oxidation, how wine breathes through the barrel, which is that relationship of wine and wood, oxygen. It's just something magical about oak barrels and their relationship with wine, and you can't replace oak barrels. I mean, people have done, oak balls, oak chips, oak inserts. There's nothing that can replace a real oak barrel. But for another episode, I'll get really in depth with different cooperages, different toasts, like I mentioned, different styles of barrel, whether it's a small barrel, a big barrel. We do punch on fermentations. We like barrels, and I like using a lot of new oak.
And what are your future goals for the winery?
Future goals for the winery? Yeah, right now we just want to stay the course. We do want to grow. Back in 2020, 2021, 22, we were making up to 20,000 cases. We reached there. And then last year with frost, we only made 13,000, 14,000 cases. This year will be about probably 16,000 cases. So we definitely wanted to grow. We want us to do more wholesale. We want to expand in restaurants, supermarkets. We want to get into other states. We had a distributor in Texas. We're going to pick up again. I'm hoping. I just sold some pallets of Grenache to a New York distributor who's going to sell our wine in the state of New York. So we have the wine to sell. We've been making a lot of wine, and we're trying to expand. But also, what's great about our tasting room, our sculptures, the atmosphere, the art, we want people to come to the tasting room. So I think our goal is always going to be to stay somewhat small, to attract people to visit the art, and to attract new people to wine. Bruce will know, and Bruce knows this very well. We get a lot of people, it's their first experience tasting wine at Sculpterra. And we get the pleasure and the privilege to say, oh, this is your first time? Start with our Vineyard. It's an easier drinking wine. Okay, you enjoy that? Well, maybe you'll like Pinot Noir. It's a slightly heavier mouthfeel and a longer finish. So that's a lot of fun. I get a lot of excitement out of that, knowing that we're introducing wine to a whole new group, young wine drinkers or people that have never experienced wine. They can experience it at Sculpterra. Anything else, Bruce?
Thank you.
Well, why don't we taste something?
Let's do it.
I'm going to grab the rosé from the fridge, so hold on. Stay right there. Okay. Here we are. This is our 2024 Paso Pink Rosé. So this is going to be kind of a wild experience, Bruce. We're going to try rosé, and then we're going to try port. So something like for the beginning of the meal, something for the end of the meal. Here we go. Talked a lot about it. Let's give it a try. Okay. Great color. Yeah, the first thing that I care about with rosé is the color. It needs to be pink, red. I don't like my rosé to be salmon or white or light. I want to see that that nice reddish, pinkish hue to the wine. Wonderful. Paso Pink Rosé. Yeah, so again, this is our 2024. Right now, if you're at the tasting room, we're selling 2022. We're almost out. I think there's like 20 cases left. So you can actually, you could request either one if you wanted to purchase the older vintage, which will be a little smoother and more bottle bouquets. You know, it's more oxidized versus this wine, which is very fresh, vibrant, crisp, young, and new. Wonderful. Yeah, I always pick up a lot of peach, a lot of guava, tangerine, nectarine, passion fruit usually comes through.
A little orange.
Definitely. You know,
Some
and
spice.
it's partially sweet, slightly sweet, but you can't tell it's sweet. Not many people pick up that it's sweet, which is what I'm shooting for, because it's got a lot of acidity. So it's kind of like orange juice. If you're a drinker of orange juice, which is both tart and sweet together, and it just tastes great. That's what I shoot for with our rosé. Juice. Now I'm trying to spill it. See,
I was gonna say.
out of control.
Did you get that on camera? No. He's tired.
Very tired. I got to get back to work. Back to the winery.
You got to drive me home, man.
Oh, that's right.
Don't forget. Don't forget to drop me off. I don't want to go back. No, this is really good.
Yeah.
Beautiful fruit. Again, yeah, that guava, some cherry, that berry fruit on this.
Yeah, it's 50% Grenache, 33 Syrah, 12 Mourvèdre, and 5% Viognier. That's an interesting part of this wine, is that 2024 with frost, we had such little Viognier grapes. We only had 1 ton, where this year we had 9 tons. So because we only had 1 ton, it didn't make sense for me to make Viognier into our regular Viognier wine and bottle, 50 cases of Viognier by itself. So I made it and blended it into the rosé bottling, which I think, adds more stone fruits, more peachy qualities.
That's nice. Very nice. I can see why you can say it'd be easy to drink all day.
Yes. It's a porch pounder. Right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
it's really good.
We're going to taste the Primitivo port. All right. So a dessert wine. So again, if you join our dessert wine club, which we're going to launch next year, you can get either of these. Here we go. This was your glass?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit here. Woohoo. I don't want to spill this. Primitivo port.
That's why we're dark.
Okay. Yeah, this is... Yeah, just right off the bat, you get a lot of dark chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of dark fruits. Now, this is 20% alcohol, 10% residual sugar. And every year when I make a fresh batch, that's my target. Some years it's, say, 19% alcohol, 11% sugar, or 21% alcohol and 9% sugar. But when I blended it so many times over these years, all these different batches and vintages, it ends up being about 20% alcohol and 10% residual sugar.
Yeah, that chocolate's very dominant on the palate. And that raisin, the plum comes across.
Right, and Bruce, I'm sure people have told you, they'll say, I'm not a sweet wine drinker, but I like your port. Or I'm not a port fan, but I can tolerate your port. And I think it's because it's not syrupy sweet. It's not cloyingly sweet. It's balanced.
Majority of the time when you do pour this for people, they say, well, we've been to Portugal and we've done the tastings there. I said, well, this may surprise you. And after they taste this, they go, this is better than anything we've ever tasted. And they end up buying it. So, yeah, it's really good.
It's the Primitivo. Primitivo is a great grape to make port with. This is a special vineyard. Again, look out for the 2025 Primitivo. So I'm making this wine right now. I'm making the 2025 Primitivo port.
It's tasty.
And I didn't mention, or when I was telling the story of how we make port, do you remember I said we needed to stop the fermentation halfway and add alcohol? Well, that might happen at 9 at night, 2 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. So I'm monitoring this tank a couple times a day, or three or four times a day, trying to target the exact moment. So you can't go on vacation. You can't take off. I remember one year, my wife and I went to Costco. It was like on a Sunday, and I was making port, and I was looking at my watch. I was saying, well, this tank has been going down by 2 BRIX every 2 hours, so I got to get back in time. But it's also getting colder, so the fermentation is slowing down. And I was scratching my head, like, what am I doing? How can I be out right now? Like, I'm going to miss it. Because if you miss it, if you don't add the alcohol at that moment, the fermentation is going to continue, whether you stop it or not. If you don't stop it, it's going to continue. And then you're not making port. And then the wine goes all the way dry. And now you've just made a very high alcohol red wine. Or maybe it'll get stuck, and then you'll have a late harvest wine. So you got to watch the tank. You got to baby it. But luckily, I live so close. I live next door. I can walk to the winery, and easy to check it and be on top of it.
And that's why we don't see you that much at the wineries, because you're always on top. You're always up in the processing area. Mm-hmm. Because everybody says, does Paul ever come down? Oh, and another thing, if you guys are interested in taking a tour of the vineyard, just get in contact with Paul early on and make those arrangements. He'll be happy to do that. And it is a good experience. It really is.
Yeah, I do tours. I do complimentary tours for wine club members. Like Bruce said, very fun, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours to really see the whole property. And I'm gonna go through everything. You know, how we grow grapes, the different blocks. We go to the Vista Point. You see the views. You see some of the chairs that Bruce has made from wine barrels.
It's my last ones. I do want to know the barrel though.
It's a beautiful property. I'm just blessed beyond belief that I grew up there and we lived there. But yeah, please contact me if you want a tour. I'm giving a tour on Friday and Saturday to a couple wine club members that are in town for the Harvest Fiesta. So once again, come to the Harvest Fiesta. It's going to be great. It's going to be a beautiful weather, fun time, music, dancing, great food. I'll be there. Hopefully we're picking pistachios, so maybe coming and going. So thank you for watching today's podcast. Thank you, Bruce. You did a great job. It was your first time.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
First time, and I hope it's not the last.
Yeah, well,
you're a natural.
All right.
You have a lot of good things to share.
Yeah.
So, thank you, everybody.
Very photogenic.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Ask a question, please. Ask any question about wine, and I'll read it at the next
Paul.
podcast.
Don't bring me into this.
Personal questions are fine. If you ask a question about Bruce,
nope,
I can answer. I've known Bruce for 6.5 years. I thought it was 4.
Yeah, all right, you got it.
Yeah. So. Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
We'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you this weekend.